All right, you looking live at Generation to Generation Cowboys and Sports Talk. I'm the host, DJ. I tell you what, and I have my dad here with me, my co-host Cowboy Joe, and we're on episode 10, and we're almost at 100 followers. We're trying to get there. So today, we're going to be talking about. We have a few segments today. Well, really, we have three. We're going to talk about the secret weapons that we believe the Cowboys have that they need to use. We're going to also talk about um, must-win games. Are these must-win games that they're playing, or are they not? And what is a must-win game? And in the third segment, we're going to talk about is just making the NFC Championship, is that enough for Cowboy Nation? Is making the NFC Championship enough, or do they have to make it to the Super Bowl? Those are the three topics that we're going to discuss today, and I'll let my dad go ahead and make his intro, and you can kind of jump it off and talk about the first secret weapons you want to. To
All right, appreciate you guys joining our show again. It's Cowboy Joe, aka Capricorn One. So we're going to talk about some secret weapons, and we kind of talked about Cavante Turpin a little bit earlier in the week. So I really think that with Ferguson possibly being a little banged up, we're going to find out tomorrow if he's going to play. I think they really need to increase the workload for Cavante Turpin in the passing game, but put him in some better plays. We don't want him going over the middle, into medicine ball area. Just try to get him on some flare routes, some wheel routes. Just get him going down the field. You can also run him on that same play that you're giving to CD Lamb, where he's running the sweep, the handoff. So
Mhm.
just try to get Cavante Turpin going a little bit more in the passing game. So what do you think about Turpin?
I love that idea, and what I also uh, see that is a trend with McCarthy is McCarthy. To me, McCarthy will do something, and it will work, and then he'll just stop doing it. We won't know what happened with it. It's just like we used to see Turpin coming out of the backfield. It would
Hmm.
work. We stopped seeing it. It was like several games last year in the first series or two. Turpin would do the reverse. And being that it's in the first part of the game, most of the time that he would do that, the linebackers and the other team, they wouldn't be so warmed up yet. But Turpin is always the fastest player on the team. And he get that ball and he would immediately get 10 to 15 yards on that play all the time. It
Hmm.
works. So um we haven't seen that. And McCarthy needs to do that. He needs to come out of the backfield. He needs to get Turpin involved. Every time they go to Turpin, he makes a play. Doesn't matter if it's wherever it's at. Most of the time, he makes the play. It's a good success. And like you said, we just don't want Dak throwing him medicine balls and getting him killed over the middle of the field.
Hmm.
But with Ferguson being out and also John Stevens, I haven't seen that John Stevens is suiting up either. So we
I don't
should
think he
we
will.
yeah. So we should get a heavy dose of Turpin. We should get a heavy dose of a Lupke, which is my second. Well, it's my well. I'm not gonna put him in any order, but he's my second uh, uh, secret weapon. I think the
Hmm.
Cowboys should use him. We're gonna see him tomorrow because um, they have two of the best tight ends. The two best tight ends on the team, in my opinion, in our opinion, they're not gonna be playing. So you're
Hmm.
gonna have Lukey playing a lot of those tight end type of roles where he's going to be blocking and you're going to see him go out a lot. And so Lukey's going to be used tomorrow. And last game when every time he got the ball, it was a 10-yard game. So what do you think about that?
So one thing I was going to mention is, one of the things we kind of frustrated with McCarthy on is, so McCarthy and Andy Reid, their careers kind of parallel. So Andy Reid was with the Eagles. Um, he went to a Super Bowl, didn't win it, and his time kind of played out in Philly. And when he went to Kansas City, he really reinvented himself. He had the same concepts and offense, but he expanded his playbook and really took it next level. And we watched Kansas City the other night against Baltimore, and thanks to the Buffalo Bills, who traded with the Chiefs, they ended up with Worthy from Texas, the receiver, and
Mhm.
he scored 2 touchdowns in that game. And he has a similar body build to Turpin. He's probably a little bigger. Um, but if you just look at the way um, Andy Reid used Worthy, that's the way we should be using Turpin. If you go back and look at those plays from the Kansas City Baltimore game, Worthy's just running in wide open space.
Mhm.
He's not running across the middle, not in a lot of traffic. And he did run a reverse. You spoke about Turpin being used running the reverse, and that's what he scored on. He scored on a reverse, and he scored on a basically which was a flag route. It was kind of a zone coverage, and the corner. I think he thought he had safety help, and if you just blink on Xavier Worthy, it's over.
Yeah, it's over. He
And,
ran. What
and
did he run at 4.2?
he ran the fastest 40 in the history of the combine. So I
He
think
broke John Ross' record.
so the fastest time before him was who
John
in the
Ross,
comeback? Was it John Ross?
think so.
Because I know that the running back, uh, whose name escapes me at the moment, he played for Tennessee. He had ran one of the fastest times.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
he John Ross was faster than him.
you was okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, and Buffalo traded with the Chiefs, and the Chiefs grabbed him. That was just one of the worst trades I've ever seen in the history of the draft. But yeah, McCarthy just needs to he needs to look at in the offseason, and it's not even too late to do it now. Actually, he needs to look at what Andy Reid is doing. He needs to look at what Kyle Shanahan is doing, and we're going to see that same offense tomorrow. So you know, really, McCarthy just needs to have somebody leaning into him and saying, "Hey, you need to look at kind of what you're doing and kind of get some more innovation going here because that'll help our offense be even better than it is now."
Yeah, it's just like last year. Last year it was the San Francisco game. After the San Francisco game, Dak
Hmm.
and CD made a big commotion and made a big deal about the way that the offense was running, and
Hmm.
it was a big deal in the storylines about how CD was very upset on the sidelines, how Dak was kind of upset, and how they all had a meeting, and McCarthy's office that following week at practice, and they said that McCarthy said, "Okay, well, we're gonna try. We're gonna just hand you the reins, and we're gonna try to do what you all suggest that we do." And as soon as they did that,
Yep.
the rest is history. They became the number one duo for the season. They both became all pros. His rest is history. So McCarthy needs to have someone in his ear to do exactly what you just said. Be that a player, be that a coach, or be that anybody. Someone needs
Yeah.
to tell him what he needs to do to innovate this offense because that's what the Cowboys in the 90s were known for. The
In
Cowboys
the 70s too.
in the 70s, they created the third down back. They did a lot of
Shotgun.
the shotgun. They were innovative, and that's what set them aside and set them apart from everyone. And since I don't know if it's since that era, the innovation has left, and they are still stuck with the past, and they don't want to.
Yeah.
They really don't become innovative. It might seem like it's hard to be innovative, but it's not. You just look at the rest of the league, and the rest of the league keeps evolving.
Yeah.
So it's really your coach, your coach, and because we all know that the ownership is stuck in the 90s. So
Well, and the thing about it is the front office they get a lot of criticism for trying to sort of manage and control the coaches. They really don't. When they hire a coach, they really, to their credit, they let the coach do their thing. Now that comes back to bite them because that's how you ended up with Jason Garrett for 10 years. How you ended up with Rob Marinelli. Rob Marinelli was 0-16 with Detroit as their head coach.
that's how
So
you
when he
end up passing
yeah,
on TJ Watt.
and that's how you end up passing on a lot of good defensive coordinators too, like Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs coordinator. Jerry had a couple of shots to hire him, and so, but to your point, Garrett was the exact opposite of innovative. You would think that he would just look at, okay, he played with some innovative coaches, been involved in some innovative things, and it just didn't rub off. And like you said, Tom Landry, one of the things we're going to talk about during our show is just kind of take you back to some of the things that actually built the Cowboys. I call it the Cowboy OG segment. And Landry, he was the key innovator of his time back in his day. He was the Sean McVay, he was the Kyle Shanahan. And also, people don't give him a lot of credit for it. He was a defensive innovator too, but yeah, he was always changing things up. A lot of people, well, some of the OGs that's listening to our show, uh, Tom Landry had the best opening record of any coach in the history of the NFL. I think he had like a 20-4 opening day record. And the reason that he did is because on opening day, he would always put a lot of stuff in the game plan that nobody had ever seen before. And the shotgun, the year that he unveiled that, it was an opening day game. He came out in the shotgun, and everybody was like, "What is he doing? What is this? This is goofy. It's not going to work." They was laughing at it, but of course, it changed the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's what he did. He, matter of fact, you can research this too. He was the first coach to have 2,000-yard receivers and 1,000-yard running back. He was the first to ever do it. It was Drew Pearson, Tony Hill, and Dorsett.
Mm.
Before those three, there was never three players on the offense that had 1,000 yards. And keep in mind, this was doing a 12 and 14 game season.
Mm.
Okay, they didn't play 16 games; they played 12 and 14.
And they had the 3,000 yard players.
Yeah, he was the first to do it. So innovation, and I've always kind of felt like McCarthy. I don't really think he gets the Cowboy thing. He's from Pittsburgh. He was a Green Bay Packers coach. That's why I was really critical of him when we play the 49ers. He just doesn't really get the 49ers Cowboy rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
You can just tell.
Mm-hmm.
So he needs to really kind of look at, the way he's approaching these things. But, and I was going to go back to what you were saying earlier. What happened last year, they had a bye, and then Dan Quinn actually went over to McCarthy as well and was telling him, here's what's going on with your offense. So that being said, I would be curious to see what Zimmer has to say about the offense once they
Mm-hmm.
kind of get going. Zimmer might be able to help him as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then to flow right into what you're saying, Zimmer understands the rivalry. He understands the cowboy thing because
Yeah,
he was here in the 90s. He gets when this rivalry was, he understands it. And that's why tomorrow to me is a big deal because tomorrow if Zim is thinking like we think he's thinking, he's going to have all his ducks in a row to make a statement against this offense. Even though it's not the 49ers, he's still going to be when he got this job, the 49ers offense was the number one thing on his brain that he had to stop if
yeah.
they're smart. Um so we're going to see a lot of things tomorrow. We're going to see if this defense is for real tomorrow. We're going to see you know what they it could be a trap game. You call
It's
it a trap game, but it's
yeah,
not.
it's a test game, and I will say this, and I think I mentioned this on one of our early shows. We don't need them to be perfect. It's just a second game, so they might have a few kinks here and there. So we just looking at the overall defense. Is it sound? Are guys just out of position? Or they just running around clueless like they were in some of these games that we saw with Dan Quinn down the stretch? And more important, the number one thing we're gonna be looking at, the number one thing is, are they stopping the run? That's
Yeah.
it. Because everything
Hmm.
is falling in place. So if we watch this game tomorrow and the Saints are just gashing us, 5,
Hmm.
6, what you saw on Monday night when the 49ers played the Jets,
Hmm.
that's what we want to look at. Are we being gashed like the Jets were?
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking at tomorrow.
Also, and then so we got Flournoy. He's my other secret weapon. Flournoy, I want to see Flournoy unveiled tomorrow. I would like for him to be unveiled tomorrow. I want to see him get some snaps tomorrow. I hope he does. See, that's the other thing. McCarthy has to use the talented players that he has. He has some talented players. Now, is he going to use them? Because we're going to see. And
Hmm.
we're just talking about the offensive side of the ball now. Another thing to piggyback off of that, Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn is, in my opinion, and why we don't, he ran the drafts when he was here. We clearly see that.
And
Like you
and
said,
and the front office let the coaches do that.
they
That's
did.
to their
That's
detriment.
that's why we got Schoon and Mozzie
And Taco
and
and
Taco
Tristan Hill.
and Tristan Hill, and that's why we have them. You know, it's just because of that. Because they let the coaches pick all of the players when it should be a collective thing. Because it's the chicken and the egg thing. Because my understanding is the way I look at it is it really depends on who that coach is that's picking those players. But to your point, you should not just let it. There shouldn't be a situation to where you give the picking ability 100% to one person or the majority of it. It shouldn't be 80% what the coach wants and 20% what the scouts say. It should be a collective equal pick.
Well, one adjustment one adjustment you can make to that is you got to remember the board. Will McClay is putting the board together. So I believe that Dan Quinn and whoever picked Schoon, it was a wrong pick, but also you got to look at why was Schoon that high on the board.
Remember,
So
I told you he wasn't that high on the board, which is another mind-boggling thing. Who let them pick? Because he was not high on their board. He was a fourth round pick on their board. We seen it. It was leaked, and they
yeah,
posted it afterwards. And the picture that the picture that was leaked, it matched the one that they was posting. So that was the accurate board, which we showed on our first episode. So we
so did
showed
we
that
ever
picture.
determine? Did we ever determine that McCarthy selected Schoon?
He did because he wanted a tight end, and they were going to pick the tight end from what was it, from Notre Dame or was it Penn State? Whatever tight end they were going to pick.
They had the tight end from Utah. They had the tight end from the went ended up going to the Lions. What's his
Yeah,
name?
yeah, he went up going to
Well,
no, they didn't have Sam Laporta. That wasn't who they wanted.
so they had Sam Laporta. They had the tight end from Notre Dame, which name escapes me. He went to the Raiders.
That's who
The,
they wanted,
the
and
tight end
then
they went to Buffalo.
he got the Buffalo jumped us and picked before us to get him.
So
They
what ended
traded
what
with
ended
the
up happening is there were probably 5 or 6 tight ends that were ranked in the draft. We got the
we got the
last
worst
one.
one. We got the worst one. We got the
Yeah,
one. We got the only one that you couldn't pick. Because if we would have picked the one from Notre Dame, if we would have picked Laporta, or if we would have picked, it's not. Is it
I, I
Dawson Brooks?
I think if Laporta had a been there, they would have drafted him.
And that would have been an awesome deal. But he wasn't there. But
Yeah,
again, that was McCarthy's deal. We all knew it,
yeah.
and that's
Now
how
I
you
did,
ended up
and
with
we
him.
did hear that McCarthy wanted Bergeron, the guard.
He did. What you have is when you have that scenario, you could have had a chance to have Osiris Torrance and
A Chain.
A Chain. You could have had
That's who.
Osiris
That's who
Torrance.
we should have picked.
Yeah, you should have. Because did you see him last game? Yesterday? He went off.
Yeah.
So we could have had him and him. We could have had Zach Martin's replacement, and we could have had A Chain, which would have been a star running back for us. So I mean, whatever the process is for them picking these players is jacked up and it needs to be fixed. And I don't
Well,
want to, and then before you say something, the fans are going to say, well, you get Micah, and how do you get CD Lamb, and how do you get Trayvon Diggs?
Bland.
Well, Bland is an exception, but the answer on how you get Micah and how you get CD and how you get Trayvon is because those are slam dunk, no brainer picks
Mm-hmm.
that 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 first of all are not supposed to happen. Number two, it's the luck of the draw that these players fail to you. And number three, it's a no brainer. Anybody
Mm-hmm.
that has any kind of sense would have made those same picks. To give you an idea of how much of a no brainer it is, when they picked Trayvon Diggs, they had him on their board as a first round pick.
Yeah.
So that just tells you right there that the system they have is jacked up because Schoon was a fourth round pick on their board. We seen it.
Now I
So
did hear that they had Overshawn rated in the second round, and they thought about taking Overshawn before Schoon. So it was a discussion about taking Overshawn with the number 2 pick. I would argue they could have took Overshawn in the second round. I believe Schoon would have been there in the third or fourth round.
You said
So
you believe Schoon would have been there win?
so they took Schoon number two.
Mm-hmm.
If they had taken Overshawn number two, which they were discussing Overshawn, I
Mm-hmm.
believe Schoon would have been there in the third or fourth round.
He definitely would have been there in the third or fourth round. Wasn't nobody gonna pick him. Didn't nobody like him but the Cowboys.
Yeah. Now this last draft, they knocked it out of the park. I think what they did is they went back and looked at what they did in the 23 draft,
Mm-hmm.
and they just did an about face because now, of course, on draft day, there was a lot of people second guessing the draft. I don't. I think you were hounding the draft on the day of, right?
No, because I really overdropped and I really overstudied the draft, so I was familiar with about 100 players, and I was watching Brian Broaddus and Jeff Kavanaugh a lot. Shout out to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really studying the draft, so I really had four or five scenarios that played out in my head on who I would draft and when if they were there. And the Cowboys, they took like two or three of the players that I wanted, but I wanted other players. I wanted the running back from Florida State. You know, really, I wanted running backs. I want a receiver. I wanted the receiver that went to Buffalo. Um, Keon, is that his name?
Keon Coleman.
I wanted him. I wanted the running back from Florida State. I wanted the linebacker. I wanted the linebacker from Texas A&M, but again, it was so many scenarios because it was so many good players. But we got five starters out of that draft, out of this past draft,
Yeah.
and one of the
It
main
was a
things
Jimmy Johnson type draft.
exactly, and they drafted for the future, but they also drafted for the now by
Mm-hmm.
drafting the young players and saying, "Hey, y'all coming in here, but y'all playing." And then a little bit of luck happened too, because it's just like Kalen Carson. He wouldn't be a starter if Bland didn't get hurt. So we're seeing that Kalen Carson is we're seeing that he's a
He jumps
great
off the screen.
he jumps off the screen. He's ready, and then a little bit of luck. You have to get some positivity out of negativity. Like Overshawn, he got hurt in preseason last year, so this is his first year playing. He's jumping off the screen. It just looks like, I'm
Yeah,
kind
he
of
jumped off
glad
last year
he
when he with
did.
the little league played. He
And
the game he got hurt in, he had
he
six
was
tackles.
yeah, he did. He was all over the place, and I'm kind of glad that I'm not glad that he got hurt in any way, but I am favoring that he did not play last year up under Dan
Quinn.
Quinn, and yeah, now that he's getting to play with a real guru and somebody
Yeah,
that's
real
using
tackles in front, real defensive tackles in
tackles in
front of
front of
him.
him.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
it's a better situation for him. Um,
And
you know,
I thought Diggs and Overshawn was gonna be in a pitch count, but I mean they pretty much played the whole game.
yeah, and Diggs. I was looking at Diggs on a replay. He was running full speed and he was keeping up with them.
Yeah.
So he don't look like he had anything going on. And Overshawn
So
don't look like it either.
so the next big thing for Diggs is gonna be just when he has to just really come up and tackle somebody. And I didn't really see that Sunday. So
No, and
and tomorrow, the
mhm,
way this running scheme the Saints is gonna come in with,
he gonna have to.
he probably going to come up and make some tackles. So it's gonna be interesting to see him come up and put some you know torque on that knee, and
Um,
that's gonna be the test.
Gotta go right into my next three secret weapons. So far to get everybody back on track. My offensive secret weapons was deploying Flournoy, Lukey, and Turpin. And my three defensive secret weapons are going to be Wanye, Izzy, and Wilson. A lot of people are sleeping on Wilson, and I don't know why, but he is one of the hardest hitters that this team has, and he's fast. He plays Donovan Wilson. I'm hoping that Donovan Wilson could be an All Pro this year. Um, but Wanye is my guy. He's one of my favorite players on the team. Wanye Thomas, he plays with a lot of energy. He's always in the right spot. He's one of those guys that he wasn't supposed to make it. We didn't know nothing about him, who he was, until he just jumped off the screen. Um, during the preseason last year. So I'm really rooting for Wanye.
He didn't play a lot Sunday.
He didn't, but that's because Wilson and Hooker are playing so well,
Mm-hmm.
and they're veterans, so they can play the whole game. They're not the kind of guys that they don't need breaks. They want to be out there. So, but you know, like I said, I've been saying it all year. Anything that Zim is doing, the way he's deploying his defense, I agree with it because he's a
Now
smarter.
they did say that he had 50 calls for the game and he only used three. So he probably had some coverages where Wanye and Izzy would have been involved, but he didn't get to him. They say
Yeah,
he only used three.
because the Browns couldn't figure out those three.
Yeah. I
So
was I was listening to Stargazer. Shout out to Star. We're gonna see if
not to
we can
start.
do something with her.
Yeah.
But she was saying that Drew Brees made the comment that Zimmer was the toughest coordinator he had to prepare for. So a lot of people are giving Zim his props.
Yeah, and and we don't want to put the cart before the horse, but it showed last week. Our defense looked completely different, and the Browns did not know what the hell was going on. They was
Hmm.
confused the whole game. So
Yep.
you know, it was almost to the point to where it wasn't even interesting in the second half because they could not figure out how to move the ball on us. And when they did move the ball on us, you could tell that we were just like, okay, I mean, like.
Yeah. Now what Carr is gonna do? They're gonna use a running game, but that Shanahan offense, they're gonna get the ball out real quick, so it might neutralize some of our pass rushers. So tomorrow's gonna be a really good game to scout from start to
Yeah,
finish because David Carr,
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr, he looks a lot better what he did in that first game. So
And also, he's a little mobile quarterback too. So what they're gonna try to do is they're gonna try to get the ball out fast, and they're gonna have him and telling him in his mind, if it's not there, get out of there now. Try to make the Cowboys overextend. You know how you will overplay, you will rush, and
and
he'll
and you
step
know
up
what
and get out.
and you know what Zim might do if they're gonna
Spy
try to
him,
run. Well, if they're gonna try to run the ball like the 49ers did on the Jets, you might just see uh, Micah
playing
playing
back.
for a linebacker.
Yeah.
If he's gonna be
So
getting the ball back, it's no reason to have Micah rushing like that. So
mhm,
you might see Kendricks, Micah, and Overshawn on the field at the same time playing linebacker.
and then
Right.
one of them you might have Overshawn spying their car, and
Hmm.
you might have Micah and Kendrick sitting on the run.
And then on obvious passing downs, you can move Micah to he can run up the A gap like he
You
was
know,
doing last week or on the
you know,
edge. So
you're
yeah.
never gonna know where Micah's coming from or where he's gonna be.
Hmm.
That's Zim's obvious. It's not even a secret weapon. It's an obvious thing. You're not gonna know where Micah is. It's not gonna be like Dan Quinn. You're not gonna know where he is, but you're gonna have
Yeah.
to account for him on every play.
And then Donovan Wilson, if they running the
Mhm.
ball, he gonna be coming downhill.
Mm.
And I don't know if Kamara wanna meet up with Donovan Wilson in the hole.
I don't know if he want to meet up with Overshawn or Micah neither.
No, he don't. Mm-mm. I don't
So
know. And they still got Taysom Hill running the ball too. So
that's not gonna work.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I think thing I'm excited about me being a Cowboy OG, the defense in the '90s, they just had physical, fast players. If you tried to run the ball wide on us, you just couldn't do it. You had, you know, linebackers that could just get to the edge real quick. We was tough
Hmm.
up the middle, so Zim knows what that kind of football looks like.
Another
It's, and,
thing
and
that
he
Zim he does what?
no, go ahead.
Another thing that Zim brings to the table is what you said earlier. His defense is a sound defense. Not only are they fast and physical, those are their attributes, but they're smart. They're in the
Yeah.
right place. They're they're
Hmm.
they're they're, they're, they're staying in their gaps. They're they're containing the outside. You know,
Hmm.
you seen it on several plays last week where we would see a player, a different player. Each time I seen it, it was a different player would just sacrifice himself for the rest of the play, like that Jordan Lewis play, where Jordan Lewis, where
Got
instead of him,
held.
Yeah, instead of him tackling the guy, he just sacrificed his body for the to the blocker and drove him completely out the play and made the running back cut back in and the play stopped right there because everybody came and cleaned it up. And several other players did that too. It wasn't just him. Marshawn Nealon did it to where he was blocking. He easily could have just said could have got off the block and and tried to make a tackle, but he didn't. He just literally stayed on the tackle and pushed the tackle back into wherever he was going so that the running back would cut back in. That's containing the outside. So they're playing smarter than they were last year. They're playing smart. You know, it's like
And one thing I was going to mention is they saying that Marshawn Nealon is kind of banged up, so you might have a Carl Lawson sighting tomorrow.
I think I did see that. I don't know if he's been active. We need to get did we ever we
You,
need to get the active list.
you had it earlier, I
Is
thought.
he
You
active?
you had it last night, but
Okay.
we'll see the actives tomorrow for the pregame. But yeah, they said that he might have to play if Nealon is kind of banged up. So I think Carl Lawson is going to help us. I don't know if he's ready to do it in the second game. So, but we'll see tomorrow. But
Well, he should
Nealon
be.
kind of got banged up a little bit
Yeah. I'm finna find it. Um,
because you had you found Flournoy was on the inactive list.
but that was for
Uh,
game one. I mean, that
yeah,
was
yeah.
for the game
The one tomorrow won't be unveiled until about an hour
tomorrow.
before the game or a couple of hours before the game.
Okay, is
So
that when
that'll
they do it?
yeah they do it before the game. So it'll
Okay.
probably be around 10:30 or 11.
Marshawn Nealon was a full participant in Friday practice.
Okay. Well,
John
yeah.
Steven didn't DNP at all.
Yeah, I'm just so yeah, John Stevens could really Wally Pip uh Schoon if he was healthy. And we need him. This week would be the game when John Stevens would have a breakout game.
School.
Especially yeah, they going to if they try to force his ball to Schoon,
They are, and he gonna probably have a good game.
well, hopefully so.
They gonna be trying to make a big deal out of it. You know, they want to say "I told you so." You know, he gonna catch a touchdown in the end zone, and he gonna
Hmm.
try to make a big deal out of it. But we all know,
We'll take it.
yeah, we'll take it. But we all know what's really good. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do that tomorrow. You know, um, he'll probably score. Have a good. He probably had the best game that he's ever had tomorrow. So, um, and then I had those are the three. Now, so now we're gonna go into our second segment. Um, are these let me pull up the notes again. Are these must win games?
So are these must win games? So there's a thing that uh, people that cover the team and content creators they kind of go back and forth on whether games in early in the season are must win games. I've always had the mindset, NFL you only play 16 or 17 games.
Every game is
If you in San Francisco, Dallas, if you in Baltimore this year, if you're in Kansas City, and these are must-win games. And if you don't believe the Cowboys play a must-win game, just lose one and see what's going to happen. You lose a
yeah.
game in Dallas, it's like the whole city is on fire, upside down. So as a Cowboy, you don't have games where you can just go out and it's no big deal. I don't care who you playing. So
They would have
and,
told you last year that Arizona wasn't a must win game, and look what happened.
and you said it cost us the number one seed.
They did.
Yeah, so this game tomorrow, it's a home game. It's kind of setting up as a trap on Arizona type game. I put it like this: I don't think Zimmer is going to fall for that. I just think he's going to have his team ready to play every weekend. It's going to be some games when do we play the 49ers and the Eagles?
Um,
Pull up the
while I'm looking,
schedule.
while I'm looking that up, it's like remember last year. Well, it cost us I don't know if it cost us the first round, the first seed, but I know for sure if the Eagles didn't lose to the Arizona, remember the Eagles lost to Arizona on that last game. If they didn't lose to them, we would have been in the seventh seed for sure.
Yeah, we would
So
have been down there. I mean, we
yeah,
ended up
which
with the number two seed and didn't do nothing with it.
That's crazy. We probably would have had a better thing if we would have been the seventh seed. But you know,
So that brings us to our last and final topic, and that
hmm
is: do the Cowboys have to make it to the Super Bowl to have a successful season, or is the NFC Championship game a successful season? I'm saying Super Bowl for this reason. During that Jason Garrett 10-year stint, and I almost said stench, uh, everybody talked about we just got to make it to the NFC Championship game, and that's all you heard. And that train has left the station. And one of the reasons is because when Jalen Hurts and the Eagles made it to the Super Bowl, that changed everything to me for Dak and the
hmm
Cowboys. So
oh yeah, it did.
it changed it. So for Dak and Dallas to make it to the NFC Championship game and lose, that's just not going to be good enough because of I think what the Eagles did a few years back when they made it, and then you know we've been at this for so long without having an NFC Championship game or Super Bowl. At this point, to me, it's just Super Bowl. It's all or nothing. The NFC Championship game is not going to cut it, especially if you get there and lose it. Now, I will say, if you get to the Super Bowl and lose it, I think Cowboy fans will be not going to obviously not going to be happy about it. But
hmm
if you get to the NFC Championship game and lose, I think it's going to be hell to pay.
Yeah, it's just like the Mavericks. I'm so excited about the Mavericks season, and they lost in the championship, but they still, to me, had a wonderful season because they got to the
Yeah.
championship. I don't really, I mean, I know we would have won. We, of course, we would have liked to win it, but they also won a championship. It hasn't been 30 years since they won a championship either. So
Well, and the same thing with the Rangers. They didn't make it to the playoffs this year, but we're good.
yeah, we
They
good.
just they just won it.
We still on the high of winning the championship, so we're
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
And we're okay. So with the Cowboys, that would be with the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl and making it to the Super Bowl. That would be 10 times for me and for most fans the Rangers and the Mavericks. So
Yeah.
it's a must. Now that we must make it to the Super Bowl. The NFC Championship game is not good enough. It's obvious. We play the San Francisco 49ers the week after the bye, October 27th. It's a Sunday night football game. It's a 7:20 game at
That's
San
at the end
Francisco,
of October.
the end of October. And before that, we got the Ravens and we got Pittsburgh and Detroit. So we're gonna
Mm.
have some tough games before we get
Now
to
when do
San
we play the
Francisco.
Eagles?
The Eagles is November 10th.
Oh, that's in November. That's the first time we play them.
Yeah, man, they got
What?
us playing them yeah, we playing them at home um November 10th, and then we play them again New Year's on December 29th there. Um so that's gonna be one of those games to where we play, and right before we play them uh we play the Panthers and the Buccaneers. So those are gonna be NFC games that are gonna be deciding the seeding right there.
We play the Panthers and the Buccaneers.
Play the Panthers on December
I don't
15th.
remember them. I don't remember them games. No, I don't remember that.
We
Hmm.
play the Panthers on December 15th, and we play the Buccaneers on in December 22nd before Christmas, and then we turn around 7 days later on the 29th and play the Eagles. So all of those are going to be games. There's going to be seeding, deciding plays. Even though all games right there are going to be deciding the seeding, but those are going to be crucial games, and they're not going to be easy games either. Those are going to be hard games. And playing against the Buccaneers going to be fighting and clawing, trying to get a spot, and the
Mm-hmm.
Eagles, you know, considering everything, that's going to be a make or break game for us and them. And shout out to my two cousins. They're Eagles fans. I'm talking about Mike Gray, the actor, the one and only. And I'm talking about Kyron, Lakeith Clarkson. Those are some those are some Eagles fans that are my little cousin, and it's just crazy that they're Eagles fans, but we love them, and it's gonna be great when we play them. And so yeah, shout out to them. They're Eagle fans, and it's just so it's something that we got to deal with. We don't know how that happened, and we'll let them come on and tell how they became Eagle fans. But the Eagles, like I said, I do not like the Eagles, but I am a Jalen Hurts fan. I do like Jalen Hurts. Now I want to beat them every time we play them, and I don't want them to go anywhere. But I like them. I like him as a person. I like AJ Brown as a person too. So I don't I like them, but I want them. But I want us to beat them. And I think Nick Sirianni. I think he is on the hot seat. I think if they lose this year, he's out of there. He's toast.
Yeah,
And
he's on the hot seat.
and I don't know why. Now they made clear what they trying to do by hiring Kellen Moore and by hiring Van Nick Big Fangio. It's clear what
Hmm.
they trying to do. So but they
I
just
like
don't
and
know.
Saquon's looking good. What he did in that first game.
You know? So it's clear what they trying to do. And McCarthy better come on with it and understand these rivalries. They are trying to demolish us and kick us out. They that's what they trying to do. So
And
he needs to
the crazy
understand.
thing is McCarthy didn't even have his team ready to play the Packers the second time. Or the first time we really
I'm about to say,
had the
when
game
have we
wrapped.
ever we ain't never beat the Packers? While McCarthy
Yeah,
been here.
but that's again, you don't have your team ready to play the Packers. But the first time we played them up there, when he went back up there for the first time, they were up for the game. It was a good game plan. I mean, we really had that game put away. Then
Yeah, but
Kellen got in his bag.
yeah, Kellen got in his bag, and then all of a sudden, with Malik Davis getting 4 yards of carry,
Hmm.
McCarthy and Kellen just decides that he's just not going to use him at all in the fourth quarter and on that last drive, and that really got him out of here because
Yeah,
McCarthy was pissed. That's the first time we ever seen McCarthy throwing headsets and
yeah.
flashboards and all of that. So
And Dan Quinn played a little role in that too in that second half.
and Dan Quinn, when you look back at it, it's so many times that Dan Quinn just let other teams off the hook. And I want to put it in just think about it like this. It was so many games last year that we just blew teams out. Dan Quinn didn't have to do nothing. Every time that he was in a fight for his life, he really failed.
He didn't come through.
He didn't. And they never stopped the run the whole time he was here. It never happened. We just outscored the opponent. Instead of us putting up 32 points on teams, we putting up 50 and 60. And so that
Yeah.
we never, Dan Quinn couldn't, you know, the other teams couldn't keep up with our offense. That's what happened. So, but once you get a team in here that can keep up with your offense and that has your defense's number, he never would adjust.
And then
49ers,
the Commanders lost Sunday, right?
yeah, they finna be 0-2.
Who they playing next?
I think they play the Giants, if I'm not mistaken. So
Oh,
they might be
okay.
all right. But let me see. But they probably finna be 0-2. Uh,
They got smoked by the Buccaneers.
yeah, they play the Giants.
Oh yeah, I mean boy, I don't know.
Well, look at the spread. The spread is 43.5, and they got Washington winning by 1.5. That let you
Mm.
that tell you everything that you need to know right there. If they got Washington winning by 1 point, that mean they got Washington winning by a field goal. That's anybody's game.
And they playing a rookie at quarterback, right?
Yeah,
Daniels.
yeah, he good though.
How did he look Sunday?
He did good. He did to me. He did good. He got him a touchdown. He gonna be good. Dan Quinn is just he's not the best coach. So
Mm-hmm.
but they have a brand new team, but they do have a good cast. They got a lot of good players. But we how they gonna gel and all of that. We gonna have to wait and see about that. We don't know. Right? They're not ready right now. They ain't ready for the
Oh,
NFC
and before
teams.
I forget, your guy for the Eagles, I don't even really think he played the other night.
Jahan Dotson.
Yeah, I didn't see him.
I don't know what the problem is with these teams. Well, also you got
It's the first game, but
and also he has two great players in front of him as well. Got
yeah,
AJ
well,
Brown and old
he would
boys
be the third receiver though.
for sure. On our
But I don't
team,
know.
he would be that receiver that we're missing,
Yep.
which makes it even more crazy that this didn't happen, that they didn't go out and get him. And also, Saquon would have been the player that we need as well. So again,
Yeah,
Jerry, the
they.
way that they
Oof.
do things, it's to our detriment, and they don't want to acknowledge that. Talking about that's just not the way they do things. Well, I mean, it's just winning championships is just not the way we do things either. So
Mm-mm.
I don't know what that's about, but I'm just ready for it to be over with. I'm ready for them to just go ahead and face the fact that what you are doing has not worked, and you're gonna have to get it. Football is a tough sport. You got to get lucky every now and then, but you're not putting us in a position to even get lucky. You know,
Yep.
so it's just like come on, man, we got to be able to do something. We got to be able to get some free agents in here that's gonna help, like with this running back situation. Are they going to really go the whole year without addressing this position, saying that we can do running back by committee when you can literally trade for somebody? If that happens, that just lets you know that it's just
Well, some of the people like Brian Brothers, they don't believe they gonna ride with it. But let's just see what Rico got, and it's the running scheme too. It ain't just the backs. It's
now
the
you said that
scheme.
yesterday, and that was a very very valid point.
Yeah.
It won't matter who you have up in here. If you running them right up the A gap, play after play after play, it's not going to work.
Yeah,
It's not
McCarthy
going to work.
gotta look at that running scheme, and I don't know if you can change your running scheme. Once the season starts.
Well, you might not be able to change the scheme, but I mean, we know they have plays that work because we've seen them ran.
Yeah.
They just don't run them good enough. They don't run them enough. Like how I was talking about last show about how they was doing that little pitch last year. It's like
Hmm.
we seen like we seen like one quarter where they was just doing nothing but pitches. Maybe
They
it was
did.
because
They did it one time on Sunday on that third. It was at the fourth and short or third and short.
and it worked.
Yeah.
And then we'll never see it again. I would rather y'all do that like y'all do the A gap because at least the first player on the defense don't know what to do.
And
At
that
least
pitch,
then,
that pitch is the play that Duke should be running.
every time because it lets the running back choose where to
Hmm.
hit hard.
Yeah,
So
you get him in open field.
right,
That's his strength. That's what he does. But you
right,
keep running him in between the tackles. You're not even allowing a guy to showcase his talent. Is what's happening.
right. Just like Turpin and Brandon Cooks. You know, I don't know. In the NFL, one of the innovative things that happened in the NFL was, first of all, it's not having a standard X receiver, is having an X receiver that plays in the slot and also goes in motion. It's just like you got situations where Tyreek Hill is one of the most dynamic pass catchers in the league. He's fast. He's super fast. He's a shout out to Tyreek Hill. You know, he's super fast. But how can what can you do to stop Tyreek Hill from running in motion, running full speed from this side, coming over to this side, and then taking off on a route? Who's fast enough to stop that? Just like Brandon Cooks. If Brandon Cooks comes in motion behind us, or Turpin comes in motion behind us, when they get the ball, by the time they get the ball, they're running full speed. And that's hard for linebackers and corners to cover. It's hard to cover Turpin coming on a reverse where he's running full speed
Hmm.
before the ball is hiked. And every time they do it, they get positive yards. But they do it one time and we don't see it again.
Yep. So hopefully McCarthy can get some uh, get some feedback and kind of make the adjustments early because last year it took him around 5 or 6 games to make his adjustment, and he should do it a lot sooner this year.
Yeah,
So we can go ahead and wrap and get ready for the game tomorrow. We're gonna do a show after the game for the first time, right?
yeah, we're gonna do a post game show to where we're gonna just do a post game show and kind of and talk about whatever Cowboys Nation is talking about, whatever the highlights of the game were, and how close our predictions were to the actual game, and what actually happened. And so, you all make sure you stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe. And we do appreciate all the followers that we do have. Shout out to Stargazer, and shout out to Law Nation. Shout out to Brian Broadish, Jeff Kavanaugh, and everyone else that we watch. And um, shout out to all our supporters. We do see the support that we are getting. We ask for support and we get it. We've gained more followers. We're on our 10th episode, and we're a lot closer to 100 than when we first started. So we appreciate that. Soon as we get our 100, we're going live, and it's going to be fun. And so we appreciate everybody. Like, comment, and subscribe. And we got some more things coming, so y'all stay tuned. We'll see y'all on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.